In late November 1943, at the height of the Second World War, the leaders of three Allied powers met in the Egyptian capital of Cairo. The topic of their discussion? The fight in the Pacific against Imperial Japan and the establishment of a post-war order in Asia. It was one of many summits between U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, but was the first and only one to include then Chinese leader Chiang Kai-shek. At that time, Chiang's Republic of China was still considered a relatively weak power. To sit alongside the world's two most powerful heads of state was a big step up for him.
It marks a real turning point in China's international position. The China of Chiang Kai-shek, the China of the Kuomintang, of the Nationalist Party, was essentially being treated as a full-scale war ally, not as a semi-colonial state. So it was an important moment for China to attend this conference.
The key figure behind Chiang's presence there was Roosevelt. He believed that the ROC armed forces could help tie up Japan's troops in China, allowing the U.S. to devote more resources to its war effort in Europe. Roosevelt urged Chiang to keep up the fight against Japan and supported Chiang's goal of making Taiwan, then under Japanese control, a part of the ROC after the war. At the end of the meeting in Egypt, the three leaders produced a statement that was broadcast to the world on December 1, 1943. It declared that Japan, once defeated, would be forced to return all the territories it had taken from China, including Taiwan, then known in the West as Formosa. To this day, historians still disagree on the significance of the Cairo Declaration to Taiwan's international status. For some, it was cut and dried.
各位熟知的1945年后期发生的这个斯大林、罗斯福跟丘吉尔他们开的这个国际会议里面，对开罗宣言并没有反对，甚至于接受开罗宣言的看法，来执行后来台湾归还中国的一个想法跟主张。
Others have questioned the declaration's legal basis, saying it was no more than a press statement put out by leaders during wartime.
The Cairo Declaration itself is very important, but it's just one stage of the war. At that time, it's just an intention rather than an actualized fact.
Critics also say the declaration violated the self-determination of the Taiwanese people, since none of them were asked whether they wanted to be put under Chinese control. But some argue there was excitement in Taiwan about ending a half-century of Japanese colonial rule. It was only later, after Chiang's government began repressing the local population, that many started turning against it. Yet another interpretation of the Cairo Declaration comes from the Chinese Communist Party. Beijing says the statement gives it sovereignty over Taiwan because it overthrew the ROC as China's governing force at the end of the Chinese Civil War. It's part of what Beijing calls its historical claims to Taiwan, which it has vowed to take by force if necessary.
台湾回归中国是二战后国际秩序的组成部分。开罗宣言白纸黑字写着，波茨坦公告清清楚楚印着。
But throughout the years, even after it became a democracy, Taiwan's position has not changed, that the Cairo Declaration gives the ROC sole sovereignty over Taiwan. 8 decades after its announcement, what the Cairo Declaration meant for Taiwan is still a hotly debated issue, but what's clear is that its place in history is important, and its content has continued to influence international relations in Asia in the years since. Devin, Tsai, Klein, Wang, Sam Hui, Ed Moon, and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.